good evening and welcome. I hope you felt welcomed when you came in tonight. This is the April 19th, 2022 regular City Commission meeting, our second regular City Commission meeting in the month of April. It is 7 p.m. and hope you felt welcomed by Finance Director Kelly McGuire and our Airport Manager Stephen Licklider, who served as our greeters this evening. I want to introduce the folks who are sitting up in front of you. To my right, your left, our Recording Secretary Taylor Lockert, our City Clerk Susan Dodderis, Commissioner Dwight Selby from Zone 1.
Good evening, everybody.
Commissioner Troy Kent from Zone 2.
Hey, everybody.
And to my left, to your right, Deputy Mayor, Zone 3 Commissioner Susan Persis.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Commissioner Rob Littleton from Zone 4. New Dad. City Manager Joyce Shanahan. Assistant City Manager Claire Whitley. City Attorney Randy Hayes. And way to my left and way to your right, we have Interim Fire Chief David King and Captain Ruse from the Ormond Beach Police Department sitting in this evening. So for those of you listening online, I'm Mayor Bill Partington. At this time, if you would please silence your cell phones and rise for the invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. The invocation tonight is given by Cadet
Mayor?
Connor Reese. Yes.
Mr. Connor is not here.
Oh, no? Okay. Well, the invocation tonight is given by Mayor Bill Partington. If you would, please bow your heads. Dear Lord, we thank you for the many gifts that you provide for us, living in a beautiful city, working with great professionals, and having a community of individuals who care for and love Ormond Beach and want to see it succeed. We ask that you bless this meeting, provide wisdom to the leaders of this city as they try and make good policy decisions, be there to protect our staff, our firefighters, our police officers, our public works, who work so hard for the residents and citizens who come here in Ormond Beach every single day. We thank you for all those things, and we say this prayer in your name. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we've got some exciting awards to start the meeting off with tonight, and the first award is the General Billy Mitchell Award. And there's 3 recipients of this award. I'll ask them to come forward now. Feel free to bring your families if you want, but it's Evan G. Jameson, Connor F. Reese, and Duke O. Newbecker. You'll come forward and then face out to the audience. The General Billy Mitchell Award is one of the Civil Air Patrol's most prestigious cadet honors. In existence since 1964, it marks a coming of age for the Civil Air Patrol's cadets as they graduate from the cadet enlisted ranks and prepare for greater leadership responsibility as cadet officers. This award honors the late General Billy Mitchell, who is considered by many to be the most important figure in the history of air power. General Mitchell was an aviation pioneer, advocate, and staunch supporter of an independent Air Force for the United States of America. On average, only 15% of all Civil Air Patrol cadets earn the General Billy Mitchell Award. By order of the National Headquarters of the Civil Air Patrol, Evan G. Jameson, Connor F. Reese, and Duke O. Newbecker of the Ormond Beach Composite Squadron have earned the General Billy Mitchell Award and are promoted to the grade of Cadet Second Lieutenant. Congratulations, gentlemen. Colonel, I should have introduced you before. I apologize. Colonel Wisniewski presented them with their certificates, and if we can, Commission will stand up behind and let the family take pictures. Next will be the Amelia Earhart Awards, and if I could ask Emily Kraft and Evan Jameson to come forward, face the audience. The Amelia Earhart Award honors the late Amelia Earhart, an aviatrix, advocate, and pioneer who set many records for women aviators in aviation's infancy, and who was lost while attempting to be the first woman to circumnavigate the globe. The second milestone of the Civil Air Patrol Cadet Program is the Amelia Earhart Award, which is earned after receipt of the General Billy Mitchell Award and the completion of the first 11 achievements of the cadet program. Only 5% of Civil Air Patrol cadets will obtain the Amelia Earhart Award. By order of the National Headquarters of the Civil Air Patrol, Emily M. Kraft and Evan G. Jameson of the Ormond Beach Composite Squadron have earned the Amelia Earhart Award and are promoted to the grade of Cadet Captain. Congratulations. Next is the General Ira C. Eaker Award, and if Emily M. Kraft would come forward again, please. The General Ira C. Eaker Award is the CAP Cadet Program's second most prestigious award and honors one of the forefathers of an independent Air Force. The Eaker Award marks completion of Phase 4 of the Civil Air Patrol Cadet Program, recognizing sustained excellence in all 4 areas of cadet life: leadership, aerospace, fitness, and character. Further, cadets will have graduated from an academically intensive leadership academy to qualify for this honor, which is especially appropriate considering that today the Air Force celebrates General Eaker's legacy by naming the service's top school for commanders in his honor, the Ira C. Eaker Center for Professional Development at Air University, Maxwell Air Force Base, Alabama. To stand in General Eaker's shadow is to study leadership carefully and serve others. By order of the National Headquarters of the Civil Air Patrol, Emily M. Kraft of the Ormond Beach Composite Squadron has earned the General Ira C. Eaker Award and is promoted to the grade of Cadet Lieutenant Colonel. Congratulations. go anywhere. We have one more thing. If you have any family you want to bring up with you, it's a honor to present you with this proclamation. And let's see, Susan, do you have that, or is it down? It's already down there. If you could hand that to her so she can hold it while I read it. Emily, if you'll hold that out so the audience can see it. Whereas Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Emily Kraft is a member of the Ormond Beach Composite Squadron of the Civil Air Patrol, and whereas Emily has excelled in the Civil Air Patrol Cadet Program with a record of high academic achievement and rapid advancement through the program. She attended Florida Wing encampments in 2017, 2019, 2020, and 2021, including service as Flight Commander at the 2020 Winter Encampment and 3rd Cadet Training Squadron Commander at the 2021 Summer Encampment. And whereas Delta Flight Commander for the Ormond Beach Composite Squadron, Emily was instrumental to the successful growth of the cadet program, guiding and mentoring new cadets as they proceeded through the program. As Deputy Cadet Commander and later Cadet Commander for the unit, she played a key role in the development and management of the entire program and served as an invaluable member of the command staff. Emily has excelled in her service with the United States Army Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps, where she has held the position of Battalion Commander, and Emily was selected to be among an elite group of 30 Civil Air Patrol cadets nationwide to attend the prestigious Specialized Undergraduate Pilot Training Familiarization course at Laughlin Air Force Base near Del Rio, Texas. She was also selected for one of only 24 primary slots to attend the 2020 Civic Leadership Academy in Washington, D.C. And whereas Emily has received nominations to both the United States Naval Academy and the United States Air Force Academy from Congressman Michael Waltz, and Emily recently received an appointment and offer of admission to the United States Naval Academy. Now, therefore, I, Bill Partington, Mayor of the City of Ormond Beach, on behalf of the entire Commission, do hereby proclaim April 19th, 2022, as a day to recognize Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Emily Kraft in the City of Ormond Beach, and urge all residents to join with me in wishing her all the best in her career in the United States Navy. Congratulations. Let's get one more. Let's get one more picture. And Colonel, will you come over and be in the picture as well? Congratulations. Some amazing awards, and really we are blessed to have an incredible cadet program and a Civil Air Patrol program here in Ormond Beach. Yes, sir.
On behalf of the Florida Wing, Select United States Air Force, I'd like to measure and presided that certificate of appreciation to the city of Ormond Beach, and they have worked for all the support of this program for the last decade or so. Especially all the good work today, that allowed us to stay in touch with Emily's one of about 10 that we have now on campus.
Thank you. If we, Colonel, thank you. And I will accept this on behalf of the City Commission. It's made out to the Ormond Beach Municipal Airport. If we didn't have an airport, we couldn't have an incredible program like this. And people who don't know what the Civil Air Patrol does and how valuable an asset they are to our community and the support they provide to the military branches and civilian branches of our government. It's just a wonderful training opportunity. They help keep us safe, and so this commission does deserve this credit. So thank you, Colonel, for that. Yes, Deputy Mayor Persis.
I just want to give a shout out to Emily Kraft over there. She was one of my students at Pine Trail Elementary, and every time I have a Pine Trail Elementary student come before the commission, Actually, there's been many, because we have such a great school, and it is such a great school. And I'm not surprised, Emily. I am so proud of you. I have chills. I just know you're going to make a difference in the world. And I'm very, very, very proud of you. And congratulations to your family, too. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, we will begin our audience remarks, and we start with Carol Taylor.
Thank you for the time and the opportunity to talk. And what I'm referring to is I am a resident of Village of Pine Run, and this is what we're discussing at this moment, right? My property backs up to Phase 3, in which they are going to be developing some homes. And the concern that I have there is that we're going to have a cookie cutter subdivision. I was here the other night and had spoke about the species that we have in plant species, the saw palmettos, which are used for grass. Also, in regards to the turtles that we have and the protected birds, there has been a dead eagle found there. It wouldn't be such a concern if the property, all of the property where the trees weren't completely taken out. If it was something more like Pine Run, instead of forcing all the animals out of the area, taking some things that are very beneficial to this world, like a tree. One tree is providing oxygen for 4 people, and a lot of people don't realize that. There's a lot of carbon dioxide comes from I-95. Now all those trees are down. They're going to come into our neighborhood if that part is also taken, if all of those trees are completely removed. And another thing that I'd like to say is there have been some Indian artifacts that have been found out there. I saw a picture of an arrowhead as big as my hand. And there was a gentleman who was here, and he also was going to try and get some photos of some Indian artifacts. Do we know of any archaeologists who even went out there and checked this property to see, what is out there? Has the spirit of the land been disturbed? Because there was a gentleman here who evidently has been following this situation with the building, and he was talking about it keeps changing and changing. I'm not familiar with it, changing and changing. I'm new to Pine Run for only 3.5 years, but I think that it's a great place to live, and I would hate to see, it completely, all the trees taken down, and many beneficial things disturbed, extinct. And there is a tree on Addison. I did supply a picture, and I think that Mr. Hayes did see the picture of the Grim Reaper is coming out of a tree right there on Addison. So that just shows that the land is speaking for itself. But that is, my main concern is the control and quality of growth in that area. If there's an emergency, how are we getting out?
Thank you, Carol. And next is George Taylor.
I live at 19 Village Drive also. Again, we are concerned about the building in that area. We have noticed that on the north side of Plantation Oaks Boulevard, how much land he has already cleared and has really done nothing with. And our concern is, why does he need to go in and actually just take out everything there and let it sit for years and years before anything's done? I know that this guy has promised a lot of things. The one thing was all supposed to be a self-contained, project and all. And then also, I don't know if everybody knows this, but there is also the Old Kings. Let's see. It's the Old Kings Road National historic engineering landmark, and that actually runs straight through. It's just probably about 100 feet east of the power lines where it comes through our project itself, which is the village of Pine Run, but then it runs due north all the way to Old Kings Road. I don't know how much of that he's disturbed. It's only 20 to 30 foot wide from what I'm hearing, but supposedly nothing is supposed to be built or disturbed on that piece of land that runs north all the way to Palm Coast. So, and again, you know, the animals, the amount of homes also. Most of the homes in Pine Run area, they're built on anywhere from 1.25 acres to 2 acre lots. He's talking about building 3 to 4 houses per acre. You know, we don't need something like that. You know, and then the other thing was mentioned that it was supposed to be a more modest income, you know, for homes. You know, and then we find out that all the homes that he's proposing to build are going to be anywhere from $300,000 to $450,000 homes. You know, I mean, some development is great, but you know, keep it to a minimum. You know, we got to have woods to survive. So, thank you for your time.
Thank you, George. The minutes have been sent to the commission for review, also posted to the city's website. Any additions, deletions, or corrections, Commissioner?
Move approval of the minutes.
Second?
Moved and seconded. These are the April 5th, 2022 minutes. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, and we'll show those passing unanimously. The consent agenda, does any member of the commission wish to pull any item off of the consent agenda?
I move approval of the consent agenda.
Second the motion.
Moved and seconded. Please call the vote.
Commissioner Selby,
Yes.
Commissioner Kent,
Yes.
Commissioner Persis,
Yes.
Commissioner Littleton,
Yes.
Mayor Partington.
Yes. And does any commissioner wish to comment on any of the consent agenda items? If not, we will move to public hearings. I'll open the public hearings and ask the clerk to read 8A.
Ordinance number 2022-11, an ordinance amending the future land use element of the comprehensive plan by amending the future land use map to incorporate the provisions of the Second Amendment North U.S. Highway 1 Interlocal Service Boundary Agreement between the City of Ormond Beach and the County of Volusia, authorizing transmittal, providing for public hearings, providing for conflicting ordinances, and setting forth an effective date. This is the first reading of ordinance number 2022-11, read by title only.
Thank you, Susan, and I'll ask our planning director, Stephen Spraker, to speak on 8A.
Good evening, Stephen Spraker, Planning Director. This is a land use amendment to the city's comprehensive plan based on the interlocal service boundary agreement, the Second Amendment that was recently done. The property that we're discussing is shown in pink area and in hatch. This is Plantation Oaks Boulevard here, and US 1 would be located here. Addison Drive is located here. So a land use amendment is a little bit different than zoning. A land use provides an overall vision of the future uses. It gives the intensity of development, the units per acre, and the maximum residential. Part of the process has started with the interlocal service boundary agreement back in December of 2001, which then led to the annexation of the property. Based on the annexation of the property, the city needs to assign a land use. After the land use is completed, then there is a site plan. There's a subdivision plan that is developed. And as part of Ormond Beach regulations, that subdivision plan goes through a neighborhood meeting. There are public hearings through both the planning board, who makes a recommendation, and then on to the city commission, who would do final action. So right now, we're at kind of the beginning steps of assigning the framework of uses. So the area in pink is approximately 84 acres and owned by the Ridge Haven subdivision. They came to our site plan review committee in 2001 and said they're interested in doing a residential development and they needed connection to utilities. And they were willing to reduce their units per acre. So the existing Volusia County units per acre requires a minimum of 4 acres and allows up to 8 acres. So they were willing to do two amendments. One is to reduce the units per acre down to 3, and then provide an overall cap with this land here and the other lands they own to 298 units. So that results in this area a reduction of 422 units. The overall subdivision would be reduced by 529 units. It would also, the county's land use allows non-residential use, so it allows commercial uses. So this zoning, or this land use action would reduce the amount of non-residential square footage by 1.1 million square feet. So it's a tremendous reduction of potential impacts to the property. Again, this application is only for land use, so you're not going to find a site plan. Those are future steps down the road. As part of the interlocal service boundary agreement, there are 5.73 acres which are shown in the hatch area, which are not owned by the Ridge Haven development. So the property is allowed to stay in unincorporated Volusia County until they connect to city utilities, and they are assigned city land use and zoning based on what Volusia County had. So while Ridge Haven is going to 3 units per acre, these parcels will maintain their Volusia County land use of 8 units per acre. So we're not reducing the density for the enclaves. Staff is recommending approval based on the reduction of both residential and non-residential square footage. The planning board recommended approval 7-0. The next steps would be a second reading on May the 3rd before this commission, and then land use amendments are transmitted to the Volusia County Growth Management Commission, Volusia County, abutting cities, Department of Economic Opportunity. If approved, the applicant would then have to go to the site planning and zoning, which would have all the steps I referenced earlier. Staff is available if there are any questions.
Thank you, Stephen, and Deputy Mayor Persis has a question.
Yes, thank you, Stephen. My question is, if this is approved tonight, do we have to stick to the number of residential units per acre, or can that be changed later?
The 298 would establish a maximum. So they would have to go through a site plan process, which would then, determine the number of units that are approved. But this would establish a maximum of 3 units per acre on this land area, and then the overall subdivision of 298 units.
Okay,
Which
thank
again
you.
is a reduction from what the county's land use allows.
Commissioner Selby.
Yeah, Stephen, why is that southern piece why are we not acting on that southern piece now?
It will be the next agenda item. So this was the second interlocal service boundary agreement. So when they came in, they owned this property and the property along Addison. And the issue was, this is part of the original interlocal service boundary agreement. So this is only dealing with the amendments to the second interlocal service boundary agreement. So there are 2 separate actions on the same subdivision. One of the things we tried to do throughout all the applications is the limit is a hard limit of 298 for the entire subdivision, the entire 103 acres.
Thank you.
And so this is a reduction of 529 homes?
For the overall subdivision, yes, sir.
If we just did nothing and left it in the county, they could put 529 plus the 298?
The county's minimum land use would be 4 units per acre, so that would be the minimum. And then the maximum would be 8 units per acre.
So why wouldn't we do this immediately without delay, just to make sure we reduce it as much as humanly possible? That's why planning board came through 7-0.
Correct, and again, this is a land use application, so you establish the maximum. It doesn't mean that they're guaranteed 298 units. That is the site plan process that goes through a neighborhood meeting, community input, planning board action, and then finally a city commission action.
Thank you. Any other questions? Commission, thank you, Stephen. And I do have 2 cards, and we'll start with Joseph Valeria.
My name is Joe Valerio. I live at 1213 North Side Drive. I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak in front of you. Back on March 10th, when this came to the planning board, I was there. And one of the things I asked for was to just try to preserve the oaks in that land and not clear cut. And I asked for, is there some sort of a process that you have to do that incorporate that language into whatever, how you do this. And so I haven't heard anything yet, but, so I'm curious, what would that take to do that? Because that'd be nice to preserve those trees, they can incorporate them into the design of the homes. Since we're in the spirit of lowering the density down, I think this would be a good thing.
Thank you. Appreciate that, sir. Next is Glenn Storch. Yes, sir.
I'm Glenn Storch, and I represent the applicant in this case. The applicant is the buyer of this property. The property, as you saw, was in fact zoned or the comp plan for much higher density. In fact, the county indicated this was over 1,000 units, these two pieces of property. So, of the promises made that was mentioned before, the promises that were made by the applicant, promises that were, the only promise I've made is that we would in fact reduce our density to this amount, to this specific amount, 298. The 8 units per acre is typical, 4 units per acre. The commercial area we have, I think, is 10 units per acre. All those things, we're reducing them down to a maximum of 298 units. That's simple. Those are the the pieces going away. So, for instance, in your transportation analysis, you're going from 15,778 trips, average daily trips, to 1,700. 10% of average daily trips because of what's going on here. Because it's being done the right way, and because your staff is working with us to solve these problems. Now, I know that most of the stuff that you've heard tonight are things about trees or conservation areas and things like this. Absolutely. Those are things we can work on. But those, as you know, are worked on during the zoning process. And we'll have a neighborhood meeting. And I look forward to working with these people at neighborhood meeting. Because there are things we can do. These things we can do to help preserve those trees you're talking about. We're going to certainly preserve large areas of trees. We're also going to preserve areas for conservation. These are things you can do if you do this right, and you cluster. In fact, low impact development actually encourages you to do just what we're doing. Clustering in some areas and then preserving large other areas. And so that's what we're going to do. And we're working closely with staff. Staff is doing a great job of encouraging the landowner to do the right thing. It is the right thing. To do this and to solve the problem. And hopefully you'll come back and we'll look at this. Right now, the only thing you're looking at is the comp plan. The comp plan is what are the uses? In our case, we're asking for residential uses, and I want to tell you that I stipulate to what he has indicated as far as the maximum 298 and the maximum of 3 units per acre of the site. And as you indicated, the rest of the commercial, the rest of the county area on this site would be 8 units per acre. But I don't want that. So, thank you.
Thank you. I don't have any other cards on 8A. I just need a motion in a second.
Move for approval.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Please call the vote.
Commissioner Kent?
Yes.
Commissioner Persis?
Yes.
Commissioner Littleton?
Yes.
Commissioner Selby?
Yes.
Mayor Partington?
Yes. 8B.
Ordinance number 2022-12, an ordinance amending the future land use element of the comprehensive plan of the city of Ormond Beach by amending the future land use map for real property totaling 19.19 plus or minus acres associated with the Ridge Haven proposed subdivision from low intensity commercial LIC to medium density residential MDR, providing for conflict, authorizing transmittal, and setting forth an effective date. This is the first reading of ordinance number 2022-12, read by title only.
Thank you, Susan, and I'll ask our planning director to speak briefly on this item as well.
Good evening, Stephen Spraker. So this is the other portion of the property owned by the Ridge Haven development. Again, we are doing a small-scale land use map amendment. We're amending the comprehensive plan. This portion is already in our original interlocal service boundary agreement. So in 2014, this was incorporated into that original, and the area above it was done as part of the second amendment. This area is 19.19 acres. It has the ability to do commercial uses. So as part of this application, they will forego the commercial uses, which decreases the amount of non-residential building by 167,000 square feet. Again, there is no site plan. That is part of a process that comes through later. This is only for a land use, and it seeks to go from commercial to residential. And it also has an overall density limitation of 298 units for both the 19.9 acres and the 84 acres. Staff has recommended approval. The planning board also recommended approval 7-0. This also is scheduled for second reading on May the 3rd, and then will also be transmitted to the Volusia County Growth Management Commission, abutting cities, Volusia counties, and then we would await the submittal of the site plan and zoning application.
Thank you, Stephen. Any questions for Stephen on this one?
I have one. Stephen, this is going from commercial to residential. This is sort of off US 1 where you would see, which is where you would see commercial. Was commercial ever going to go here, realistically?
You know, that's a good question. I mean, would commercial go there? It was certainly entitled to. You know, and basically, if you're getting larger developers, you know, they would need the land area to combine with other property, which could front on US 1 here. But I think the concept we've seen is take, for example, the Gardens of Addison Oaks, which has a townhome development, is to put some of that density here, so you have the density along the roadway and away from the single-family homes. So they would do some of the townhomes here and then go to larger lot development there. So I don't know if commercial would have ever gone here, but I think eventually the North US 1 corridor will demand additional commercial uses for the residential that's planned out there.
Any other questions? Thank you, Stephen. Going to cards, Jason Zaniewski. Okay. Barbara Schubert. Jason? No problem. Barbara, you'll be on deck.
When the kids gotta go, they gotta go, sorry.
That's right.
Yeah, my name is Jason Zanowski. I just wanted to talk basically on some of the things that my fellow neighbors were talking about. This morning, actually on the way to work, there was a accident where a truck had ran into the back of another truck, and it was burning, and this neighborhood that they're talking about developing is going to push those vehicles through our neighborhood on Addison, which is going to be, you know, my kids are out there all the time, other kids are out there all the time. So basically, I mean, I know there's not much we can do about the developing. I know it's going to get pushed along, but our concern is that, is it too much? So we're here trying to make it a little bit less. The artifacts that she's been talking about, my kids actually found the artifacts. I have pictures of them. Sorry, I'm really nervous. I'm not good at this, but last week, one of the board members, he said there was 80,000 people moving to Florida every day, and I thought that was just absurd. And everyone on the board, oh, really? Well, it's not 80,000. So it was misleading, and it's actually 1,000 people. I looked it up, which is a lot. But they were concerned, oh, we don't have enough homes for for the people moving here, for our kids. But there's 300 homes on Zillow today that are people can go buy. You know, so I just don't see the need to build all these homes right away. It's going to destroy the loop, which is the bikers and everything. It brings the tourists to this town, which brings a lot of money. The loop is very beautiful. It was something that we love, you know, that made us want to move here. that's it. I mean, we're just concerned about the neighborhood. We hope you guys do make the right decisions. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. If you want to text those pictures to the clerk, she'll make sure we all see it. Yeah, no problem. Barbara Schubert.
I'm butt up against that property also. But my concern is all the wildlife. I mean, I have 25 deer in my yard. Every morning, I feed them. They bring their babies. They, you know, they're so used to coming, they feel comfortable and secure. We have turkeys who sleep in the trees at night. I don't know if a lot of people know that. And the pine trees that we have behind, I just hate losing all that property. I mean, that's what I moved there for. That's why we have this deer on a sign in front of the property. I mean, when you go down that pine tree, it's like right there. That's one that I've been there 18 years. And it's just a whole another world living there. We have everything, all kinds of hawks. We have eagles, everything. It's just going to destroy everything. So whatever y'all can do to improve it, it would be great. I'm nervous. Thank you for letting me speak.
You did well. Yep. And Terry Schubert.
Hello, I'm Terry Schubert. We live at 19 Village Drive, and the property is right behind us. We have a sort of a canal, service road, and then that property. Like my wife was saying, we've enjoyed the wildlife, and we think it's kind of a shame that they're going to come from the Plantation Oaks Parkway towards our house when they tore down hundreds of acres the other way up to 95 already, that they wouldn't build in that area and just leave our part alone, because a lot of it's retention ponds and woods. We'd hate to see all that get destroyed just and sit there for years and years and years with nothing happening on it. So that's about all I have to say. So hopefully everyone kind of takes into consideration why we love Ormond and why we moved up in that area. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. And Joseph Valeria.
I have a question concerning this small 19 acres. If I understand it right, if they fill the 298 first, then that's going to be limited, to they're not going to be able to build any houses on that second piece, if I understand that right. I think in the planning meeting, that's what they were saying, that whoever gets 298 first, then they're finished.
Right.
If that's the case, then maybe they can preserve some of that for like green space and stuff like that. Because you know what could happen in the future when you get there and not be there. Someone will come along and decide to make an amendment and put more houses on there. You know, so all this is temporary, so it'd be nice if the green space would kind of slow that down.
Thank you. Yep. And Glenn Storch.
Yeah, and again, just to address some other comments, this is a difficult time because people look at something and they look at this land and they think this is the way it's going to be forever. Certainly. They think this is the way it's going to be forever. And people have rights. Those rights are, in fact, entitlements. And right now, the entitlements are for this particular site to have 8 units per acre. And for instance, Commissioner Littleton, that the site you're talking about, this commercial, you're right. I mean, that logically will not be commercial anytime soon because it's too far from the thing. It was logically going to be apartment complex. That was a logical place for that for an apartment complex near the commercial and with the density it had. So we're taking that site and we're taking away the apartments. We're taking away We're reducing the density, we're clustering, and we're doing this in a manner to allow us to actually preserve areas that will have some areas for conservation, that will have some areas of native vegetation. So that, because I'm in the same boat. I've got deer, I feed my deer every day. This is the sort of thing you want to do. The existing sites, though, existing homes, didn't preserve those areas. And no one bought this land for a park. We are, in fact, going to be working with the city to preserve areas. And I think that's the difference here, that we're able to do that now because we're able to cluster. And so that's the goal. And I look working with everybody who came tonight to find solutions that will make this a better project, better neighbors, and also provide some habitat. Okay?
Thank you. I don't have any other cards. Any other questions for planning director?
A clarification, Mr. Spraker. Though A and B were sort of combined, with B, we are going to be if this is passed, we're going to be reducing the non-residential entitlements by 167,000 square feet, right? So we are going
Yes,
to
sir.
be decreasing.
Yes, sir.
Very good.
Just need a motion and a second.
I move approval of ordinance number 2022-12.
I'll second the motion.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Please call the vote.
Commissioner Persis,
Yes.
Commissioner Littleton,
Yes.
Commissioner Selby,
Yes.
Commissioner Kent,
Yes.
Mayor Partington.
Yes, and we will close the public hearings and go to first reading of ordinances 9A.
Ordinance number 2022-13, an ordinance regarding the office of mayor and city commissioners for zone 1 through 4 by providing for and calling a primary municipal election of the registered electors of the city of Ormond Beach to be held on August 23, 2022, providing for and calling a regular municipal election of the registered electors residing in the city of Ormond Beach to be held on November 8, 2022, providing for qualifying and election procedures, establishing a date for taking office, authorizing the execution of a memorandum of understanding for services and materials with the County of Volusia, providing for severability, and setting forth an effective date. This is the first reading of ordinance number 2022-13, read by title only.
Thank you. And Susan, was there anything you wanted to mention on this item?
Just that the qualifying period would be June 13, 2022, 12 noon to June 17, 2022, 12 noon. That's a Monday through Friday. It is established by Florida's election code, and the ordinance also identifies November 17, 2022 as the day that the mayor and commissioners would be sworn in and take office, and also identifies public notice as being the 5th week and the 3rd week prior to each of the elections.
Thank you.
That's
Any
all I have.
questions? Any questions for Susan?
Yeah, did you say November 17th or November 15th? I
I'm
just wanted
sorry.
to check. I heard 17, but what I'm looking at on the screen says the 15th. I just want to make sure.
November 15th, sorry, that was
Okay,
an
no,
error.
not a problem. Thank you.
We do this every couple years. I don't have any cards, just need a motion and a second.
I'll move approval.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Please call the vote.
Commissioner Littleton,
Yes.
Commissioner Selby,
Yes.
Commissioner Kent,
Yes.
Commissioner Persis,
Yes.
Mayor Partington.
Yes. 10A.
Ordinance number 2022-08, an ordinance amending section 4-3, consumption in public places, exceptions of chapter 4, alcoholic beverages, and section 15-92, definitions, and section 15-99, display, promotion, or sale of alcoholic beverages, of article 3, special uses of city property, of chapter 15, parks and recreation, of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Ormond Beach to allow for the sale and consumption of alcoholic beverages on city property pursuant to a written agreement provided by the City Commission between the City of Ormond Beach and a civic nonprofit organization, repealing all inconsistent ordinances or parts thereof, of, providing for severability and setting forth an effective date. This is the second reading of ordinance number 2022-08, read by title only.
Thank you. I don't have any cards on 10A. Just need a motion and a second.
I move approval of ordinance number 2022-8, 08.
Second the motion?
Any further discussion? Please call the vote.
Commissioner Selby,
Yes.
Commissioner Kent,
Yes.
Commissioner Persis,
Yes.
Commissioner Littleton,
Yes.
Mayor Partington.
Yes. 10B.
Ordinance number 2022-09, an ordinance amending Section 2-258, Administrative Fines and Liens of Division 2, Enforcement Process of Article 7, Code Enforcement of Chapter 2, Administration, Section 8-4, Unsafe Building Abatement of Article 1 in general of Chapter 8, Buildings and Construction Regulations, and Section 14-98, Liens of Article 8, Site Maintenance Nuisances of Chapter 14, Offenses of the Code of Ordinance of the City of Ormond Beach to amend the authority for the release and satisfaction of liens, repealing all inconsistent ordinances or parts thereof, providing for severability and setting forth an effective date. This is the second reading of ordinance number 2022-09, read by title only.
Thank you, Susan. I don't have any cards.
I move for approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Please call the vote.
Commissioner Kent,
Yes.
Commissioner Persis,
Yes.
Commissioner Littleton,
Yes.
Commissioner Selby,
Yes.
Mayor Partington.
Yes. And we go now to reports, suggestions, and requests, and we start with City Manager Joyce Shanahan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We are likely going to have to move the impact fee workshop to either right before your budget workshop in June or some other time between now and then. We haven't figured that out yet, but we will be letting you know about that. We have the reclaimed water workshop on the 17th, and we might be able to couple that with that. We just don't know. So please mark your calendars as tentative. We have the impact fee marked as tentative. We are scheduling the budget workshop for June 7th. That would be a 5:30 workshop, and then a meeting that night. And then looking at the calendar, typically you, the commission, collectively give staff graciously time to plan for the budget, and you would be off then until the 19th of July. So I just want to make sure that we're all on board with what that budget plan and calendar meeting is for June and July, and then we get back to regular scheduled meetings. So we'd have one meeting in June and one meeting in July.
June 7th is the last meeting, and then July 19th we come back.
Correct. Yes.
Perfect.
So that is the plan. Staff is already working on the budget, working on the operating costs, and working on capital budget with departments. The finance department does a great job. They put all that information together along with your department directors, who really do a great job managing their budget. So that's where we are right now. This is kind of a flux schedule. If something comes up, we'll let you know. But that's where we are. I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Thank you. Any questions for Joyce? We'll go to Assistant City Manager Claire Whitley.
No comments, thank you.
City Attorney Randy Hayes.
Nothing tonight. Nothing tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. And tonight we start with Commissioner Selby.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of quick reminders. This weekend is the Celtic Festival at Rockefeller Gardens. It's both Saturday and Sunday, and it will happen regardless of the weather. So even if the weather is nasty, those folks who participate in the Highland Games will be participating. So don't miss it. Don't be scared away by bad weather. And then a week from today, the 26th, is the dedication of the Wagner Park, which is, for those of you who don't know, who are listening or here in the room, that's a park over on the beach side that the Halifax, the Garden Club of Halifax Country, came to us, maybe a couple of years ago now, and asked to sort of adopt that park and fill it with, remove all the non-native vegetation and then plant it with native vegetation, and have created an environment where we as citizens will be able to see native plants growing, in their native area. And I personally am very excited about it because I want to incorporate more native plants into my property, and it's kind of hard to do that online, but I think it'll be a great opportunity for all of us to see that in person, and that things will be labeled well, and you'll be able to walk through it, and if you go to the dedication a week from today, you'll be able to see some of the plants in their infancy, and then you'll be able to see them as they mature over time. So it's 10 a.m. on the 26th, and all are welcome to be there. So encourage you to attend. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Kent.
Thank you very much. I would just simply say Ormond Beach is an absolute fantastic place to live. Have a great evening.
Thank you, Commissioner. And Deputy Mayor Persis.
Yes, well said. It certainly is. I just have a couple of things I'd like to mention this evening. First of all, I attended the DARE graduation at Pathways Elementary last week, and it was just wonderful seeing all the fifth graders graduate from that program and talk about the things they learned and listen to their essays that they write about, living a life free of drugs and peer pressure and that sort of thing. So it's just a wonderful thing. And our police department, our DARE officer is absolutely incredible. The kids love her. So please tell the chief. Well, the chief was there, you were there, but it was just an amazing event, and one of the more fun things to attend. Also, I've been just looking around Ormond Beach. I've been driving back and forth along Clyde Morris and Williamson, and all I see is these apartments and these homes that are being built, and it's just, I don't recognize it anymore. I was born and raised here. It's like I don't even recognize our streets anymore, practically. And then I was reading in the paper that Ormond Beach, along with Alachua, Hillsborough, Sarasota counties, we encourage low-impact development. And I think that's a wonderful thing, but I think we maybe need to start thinking about requiring it, because I'm just concerned of what's going to happen in the future. I think we need to look at increasing the tree retention area requirement in environmentally sensitive areas. We need to incorporate low-impact development practices and increase buffers, really increase the buffers to protect our wetlands and our wildlife. And we heard that tonight from so many of you speakers out there. And I think it's something that we are going to have growth, because if you don't grow, you die. And I know that's the way it is. But we need to be so careful with our beautiful areas in Ormond Beach. So I'm hoping that's something maybe we can all talk about at some time. Thank you.
Thank you. And Commissioner Littleton.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I just want to thank the commission and staff for all the well wishes and congratulations for the birth of my daughter. It's been a wonderful time in the Littleton household, and Haley's been doing great. She's been sleeping. Anytime she gets fussy, I've been reading her the city agenda, and she's going to sleep, type thing. So thank you for all that. I really appreciate it. And with that, I'll say good night.
Thank you, Commissioner. And there was an article in the News Journal today about the tax issue at the airport, and I just wanted to expand a little bit on that, because some of the information I think the city attorney provided didn't make it into that article, and I thought it'd be helpful to provide a little additional information on the complexities of the Riverbend tax litigation. The Department of Revenue has issued a memorandum in that case, kind of amicus curiae, as a friend of the court, explaining what applicable tax law is in the state of Florida, and their interest is that they're a neutral third party, but they want to have the correct and uniform application of applicable legal standards. And so the memorandum's purpose is to assist the court by addressing applicable law, and that memorandum contains quite a bit of it. But the fundamental legal principle is that public money cannot be used to pay a private debt. And that's why the city of Ormond Beach can't use our residents' taxpayers' dollars to pay a tax obligation that was incurred by the former lessee of the Riverbend Golf Course. The Florida Department of Revenue agrees with the city on that issue. It believes that the state law and all the rules back that up, and that's why they issued their opinion advising the judge in that case that if a tax is owed, it's the responsibility of the lessee to pay and not the city. And so I just wanted to make that point clear. That memorandum's available to anybody that wants to see it. I can provide it to you. Our city attorney's office can provide it to you. You can pull it off the clerk's website, but it couldn't be more clear. And so, when a government's taxing authority that's always hungry for tax dollars has the audacity to ignore a circuit judge's order, just, I'm the government, I can do whatever I want. That's basically what they're saying. So I don't like that judge's order. I'm just gonna ignore it, even though it's a valid judge who had been serving for some time. And so just to say, I'm not gonna observe that order. Well, is that the rule? Do we all get to not do what the judge says? We all get to just do whatever we want, whatever we think is right? I don't think so. I think governments have to obey the law, whether it's issued by a judge or by the legislature. And if you think something's wrong with it or you don't agree with it, then you follow the correct procedures to try and change it. But you don't just ignore it and say, I'm going to do whatever I want. I'm not going to do what the judge ordered. And that's exactly what happened in this case. And I think it's outrageous. I will protect our taxpayers. I will stand between an aggressive taxing agency trying to get their hand further into your wallets and say, no, this is not right. We will fight this, and I believe we'll win at the end of the day. It may take, beyond the circuit court, it may take an appellate court decision, a Supreme Court decision. Who knows where it'll end, but the statutes and the rules are clear. The judge's order was clear, and so I think this case is really outrageous, and it's an important principle that we need to stand on in order to protect our residents. So with that, we will be adjourned, and I hope everyone has a good night.